Well, what's up, folks? So here we are, episode 15. Once again, we are back, just like the Eagles are back off the bye week and some other teams as well. Dallas is off this week. We'll get into them later on as well because, of course, we can't go another week without talking about how much they still suck. So we'll get into Dallas talk later on. We'll also be going around the NFL. We will have a salute to service because Wednesday, of course, was Veterans Day, and we can't forget about the veterans who are continuing to serve and the other ones that have served our great country. So we also have an interview coming up as well with Pat Kern from Rebuilding New York Football. Fun interview with him. It'll be on here shortly. And I believe we're going to have on one of Mike's friends that we're talking about a turkey drive that he's trying to put together. And if we didn't have a jam-packed show enough, we're going to have the man himself, Mike the Guru Sherman. Because, of course, he's been nothing but promoting and helping us out throughout the whole entire time. So, again, I've talked about it before in the past that we will bring fans on the show if you want to be on the show. And Mike, being the number one fan of the show, we appreciate him coming on. So all his predictions, everything he has done, of course, we know that have come true, and it drives us nuts. But you know what? Mike knows exactly what he's talking about. So jam-packed show. We thank you guys again for the views. We had over 500 views from the last show. That we do appreciate it. We're also going to be talking a little promo when it comes to For the Bay, Mike Klein with Philly to South. So we got a lot of things to get to. Let's start the show. Of course, I am Angel, and this is Broad Street South Sports Talk. So it's been a fun week off, at least for some of us. I had the opportunity of going further down south to go visit my mom. So it's always good to see and be with people because we decided to take just a field trip, a road trip. I needed to help her out to get her storm prepared ready because we did have a storm down here in Florida. And thankfully, we only had one death out of that storm. Of course, one death is still too many, but thank you to everybody who was reaching out to make sure that we were safe and everybody was good. For my family back in New England, mom is doing just fine, and so is dad. So big things, of course, as far as taking care of our families. But again, we got injury updates, Eagles updates. Carson Wentz says he's going to get better. Of course, the time with Pat Kern, he's coming on. But we can't do everything around here, of course, without my co-host, Mike Fuji. So here comes Mike Fuji. Mikey, how are you, Mikey?
What's going on, Mr. Angel? Game day is back. The birds are back off the bye week. It's time to get this thing turned around and let Carson get this ship moving on forward.
Oh, that's definitely the truth. And we know that Danny Dimes is leading the NFL right now as far as when it comes to turnover. So we're hoping that Carson doesn't take over that reign today. And that's something that we don't want to see. As Carson has stated with Dave Spadaro, that he definitely wants to do better in the second half of the season. So according to Carson, he loved the time off. He was able to go hunting. More importantly, he said that he was able to put his daughter to sleep, which, you do miss small things like that. And of course, by the time he turns around, the season's over, she's going to be 4 months old. So you miss all those things when you're at home with family. So, kudos to Carson for taking that time off, being with the family. I'm pretty sure the rest of the Eagles did as well. But, we'll see. We'll break it down with Pat Kern. With us, of course, today, which is kind of like, one of those honors that you're going to have fun. The show's going to be great. We're going to have fun. And you cannot have more fun with the man himself who's popping up here, which is Mike the Guru Sherman. Mike, what's going on?
How you guys doing today?
Good. How are you? Game day.
Doing fantastic. The holidays have come early because I have my opportunity to be on your show today.
Well,
loving the hat there.
Thank you.
Not a problem. But, of course, we can't go by without quickly promoting some of the people that we love that make the show possible as well. One of those being our official sponsor of the show, which is Tampa Joe's. And for Mike Klein and his group that are down there today with Philly to South, we do appreciate them as well tuning in. And so we hope that they have a great game day. We hope that a lot of fans show up down there. Of course, you can sit inside and outside when it comes to Tampa Joe's. And just to give you a picture of what it looks like, there is the outside when it comes down to the bar itself, the bar restaurant, and that normally will get packed. And then you have, of course, the inside of the bar itself, which looks just phenomenal, and it's a lot of fun. people get loud and crazy. And of course, this is the official logo here for Philly to South, the Eagles fan club. And I mean, it's a great, great time. And just even show you some food, you got Cuban sandwiches, which is phenomenal. So don't visit Tampa Joe's just because it's game day. Visit Tampa Joe's because you love to go down there and try out their food and see their, their Southern hospitality. And of course, today we have Mike at Maggie's Waterfront Cafe, and that's maggieswaterfront.com, Maggie's Waterfront Cafe, 9242 North Delaware Avenue. And, we can't, again, say enough thank yous to Maggie's. If you guys want to check out Mikey, he is there today, live and in person. And Mike, before I get on to Florida Bay Clothing, is there any game day specials there for the Eagles?
Yes, there is. There's $3 twisted teas during the game, $15 beer tailors, anything on tap, $5 buffalo bites, and $5 plain pizzas. So anyone, come on out. I'll be here the whole game. Let's come out and root the Birds on the victory.
Let's hope that they do win. And the man who knows is at the bottom of the box there. He knows what's going to happen. So I'm curious to see what the actual outcome is going to end up being. But the Juru has been so on point all season long. It's just beyond scary. But we do appreciate when he lets us know exactly how it is. We also have, of course, For the Bay Clothing Company, forthebbayclothingcompany.com. If you guys want to visit our website, I personally have one of their T-shirts that shows the Tampa Bay Rays themselves, the actual animal on there. But great quality shirts, wash after wash. The print doesn't come off. It's a great, comfortable design. You can see the two ladies here in the background. They are displaying the shirts. Also, these other three ladies are downtown Tampa. And I mean, I've met Dave and Allison, who are the owners of this fantastic company. Very nice, very friendly. Originally, he's from Ohio. She's actually from the Tampa Bay area, but they put on a good company, a great product. So by all means, you guys visit forthebbayclothingcompany.com. It is phenomenal as far as the material. But before we get into here with our first interview since coming back here from the bye week, Mike Sherman. So being a huge supporter of the show, we really do appreciate it more than anything else because we're thankful and grateful for you coming on. And if people don't know, Mike and Mike are best friends, which kind of sounds familiar from a show that was on ESPN that's no longer there. But so they've been best friends for life because they've known each other since little ones. I've had the pleasure to meet both men since the podcast has started. But Mike, there's not enough thank yous, honestly, for you constantly liking, sharing, telling people, great show, guys. And from the bottom of our hearts, we really do appreciate everything you do for the show.
Oh, no worries whatsoever. It's my honor and pleasure to like your page, share your page, try to promote you guys to as many people as possible. I think that you guys do a great job. You're in your 15th show, and, there's a lot of shows to try to get off the ground and running, and they can't make it past the second week. And here it is, the two of you finding sponsors for your shows, getting top-notch guests for the program. And it's been going on for 15 weeks, and I'm more than happy to be part of the ride as a supporter of the show, and I look forward to bigger and better things to come.
Yeah, we're hoping for the same exact thing. And, of course, for the viewers, once again, I know I thanked them in the very beginning. Without you guys the viewers, the show just doesn't get kicked off. And you can have a bad week, you can have a good week, you can have little viewers, you can have up to big numbers. It doesn't matter because in the end, it's all about you guys, and we just try to have fun and separate ourselves from everyone else that's out there. So, we compete with the ESPNers and NFL networks and everything else, but we just try to bring a fun show each and every week out to you guys. And also Bird Brains. Mike Klein had mentioned the Bird Brains podcast. They just kicked off. Mike, we're going to give him a quick shout out. He is part of that Bird Brains podcast. So maybe one day we'll get on with each other and see and have fun, as a combined group. But, Mike, once again, we really do thank you. And without, I guess, getting any further ado here, we have the interview with Pat Kern. Pat Kern, again, he has his own podcast, Rebuilding New York Football. And the guy was a fun guest. Very knowledgeable of not only just the Giants, also the Jets and every team in New York, along with other teams around the league. So he was a lot of fun. We appreciate him coming on. We know that he was busy at the last minute. He was able to come on with us. So we will bring on that interview here momentarily as soon as I fire it up. So we will see you guys here shortly. But here is the interview with Pat Kern. All right, so welcome, folks. Of course, we have the Giants, that team on the other side of 95 that we're playing this week. And how much more better would it be that if we come up with another win? I'm pretty sure the Giants are still feeling the loss just 2 weeks ago by 1 point, and especially when 5 minutes ago in the game. So they're going to be looking for some revenge. Most assuredly, they will be looking for that revenge. So this week, we have a guest with us, Pat Kern, and I'm going to bring up so you guys can see out there as well. Where it is? I want to remove it. Oh, it came back this way. Sorry. From Rebuilding New York Football Podcast, Pat Kern, and temporary, even though you guys still look at the .com website, but at the moment it's on hold from what we learned. But that's because there's a lot of things that are going on, like everyone else's life, and therefore something's going to be put on hold. But it doesn't mean that Pat does not know what he's talking about, because he is, of course, knowledgeable when it comes to the Giants, the Jets, and other teams as well. So we're having to have Pat on. We're going to bring him on here and just welcome the man himself. Pat,
what's going on, guys? How are you guys doing?
Good, Pat. How are you?
Not bad. Not bad. Big game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. That's for sure. But what I do like, obviously, from if we look at from 2 weeks ago, the Giants defense, and I'll pose a question as well a little bit later on, but the defense seems like last year you can see improvement when it came to the Giants defense. This year, almost the same thing. It's been little by little as far as them getting there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just one of those things that they decided that the D coordinator decided to change things up. I've seen a lot of was it 4-3, and some of them where they swapped around with 3-4, but it seems like the 4-3 has been working for them a lot better. So I don't know what you see as far as on your end, but it seems like as far as when it comes to defense, they are making strides.
Yeah, so Patrick Graham is the new defensive coordinator for them. He was with Miami, down with Brian Flores for the past year. They bring him in. Him and Joe Judge kind of revitalized this defense and kind of place their trust in this defensive line, right? They run a lot of 4-3 and they'll switch it up to 3-4, but it's a lot of zone. They don't trust their secondary. They're still young. They have Bradbury back there, yes, but it's a lot of zone. They realize that the next guy up is Isaac Edom, who is not all too, he's not a solid number 1 or number 2 cornerback. He's a number 3 or number 4, and because of this, they're dropping into zone, and it's been working for them because, the defensive line's able to get a natural rush between Dexter Lawrence, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Leonard Williams, and that's really what's helping them most. They don't have like a natural pass rusher off the edge, but it's really those 3 guys collapsing the pocket and bringing a lot of success to the defense.
Okay, Mike.
Just wanted to bring up the I guess the Giants offense is ranked. Excuse me. See, the Giants' offense is ranked 27th. And excuse me. Looks like the Giants' offense is ranked 31st with the rush. Rush is 21st, and the pass offense is 30th. Do you see Daniel Jones being the future quarterback of the New York Giants?
So this is something I've had to go back and forth with. Personally, I had him as a second-round guy in that draft class. They take him at, I believe it was 6th in 2019. It's his second year. He's kind of taken a step back in a lot of ways. Whether it be Jason Garrett's offense not being exactly that impressive with how they use some of their guys, I don't know, but mechanically, it just doesn't look great. He's terrible under pressure. He has no pocket feel, and his footwork isn't that great. He's misplacing the ball. I don't know. I don't think this is where I go back and forth. I don't know if they move on from him after this offseason. It really depends on if Dave Gettleman gets moved on from at the GM spot. GMs have a tendency of holding on to their guys, the guys that they draft at quarterback. We saw it with the Bears and Mitchell Trubisky for a while. I probably would if the opportunity presented itself to move on from Daniel Jones, but it really depends on if Gettleman is there next year. I personally don't think he belongs as the GM of the Giants because of some of the draft failures that they had. 3 first-round picks in 2019, and DeAndre Baker's not even on the team anymore, and Daniel Jones looks like a miss. And you hit on one of the 3, and Dexter Lawrence, that's a problem.
Yep. I'm going to piggyback on what Mike just said there, because now I think it was a surprise to a lot of the fans, obviously, that Daniel Jones was picked just as much as we were surprised with Jalen Hurts, because we didn't see that one coming either.
Yeah.
Although, according to Howie, he says that we're a quarterback factory. I've yet to see that one, but
Right.
Howie says. To me, and I think it was kind of, I guess, a little bit early, because you look at Eli Manning. So Eli obviously has won 2 with the Giants, just like his brother did, one with the Colts and one with Denver. I think the way the Giants ended up taking Eli out to replace him with Daniel Jones, I mean, it was 2 games in, and basically told Eli, okay, you're on the shelf, Denny's it. And to me, I haven't seen where he's, so-called this Danny Dimes thing that people have next to his name. I don't see where he's an actual starting quarterback anywhere in the league, unless, he goes to Jacksonville where quarterbacks go to die anyways. But, if he decides to go down there, it's on him. But me, I don't think Daniel Jones is their premier quarterback from the future. And like you just said, with David Gettleman, I mean, he's another GM that needs to go just like as much as ours need to go. But I personally don't see him either as your starting QB.
Yeah, I don't blame you with that. I mean, it was a big surprise that they ended up taking him over guys like Haskins and Drew Lock. I mean, Haskins hasn't worked out, so maybe there was a reason why they were turned off. I've heard some not so great things off the field about Haskins leading up to the draft, but the Giants didn't care much about that when they drafted DeAndre Baker later on in that draft. So that didn't make a lot of sense to me. And then Drew Lock falling in the second round, I really thought that there was a shot that he was going to go top 16, and he doesn't. I don't see it working out with the Giants and Daniel Jones, but I find it hard to imagine if Gettleman's there that they're going to move on from him this early.
I agree. Mike?
As far as the defensive side of the ball, I see, the Giants are 6th overall in the NFL, stopping the run. I mean, what would you say the Giants, what is their Achilles heel as far as?
So this is, Giants fans aren't going to like to hear this, but I think that it comes down to the passing game with Jabril Peppers, who is insanely overrated in the passing game, where he has a lot of tackles, so fans assume that he's great, but he gets beat a lot. And the Eagles took advantage of him a lot in that game on Thursday Night Football a couple weeks ago. And then the linebackers, they don't cover that well either. That's why the tight end, I think it was Richard Rodgers, had 85 yards. Richard Rodgers should not be gaining 85 yards in the passing. It should be, if it was Dallas Goedert, that's a different question. But Richard Rodgers should not be burning the Giants defense as well as he did if Jabril Peppers and this Giants linebacking core is that good, in the passing game, that is. Blake Martinez, great against the run, can't cover anybody, especially with what they're running in zone. They're kind of those underneath routes, those routes within like 1 to 7 yards are killing them. And it's what teams are taking advantage of.
I thought Blake Martinez was a great pickup from Green Bay.
Yeah, no, I agree in the run game though, but in the passing game, he's
right.
He can't cover running backs, he can't cover tight ends, and their guy Devontae Downs, he's just as bad in the passing game, and that's a problem. And if he does improve in the passing game, I have no problem with the pickup. It's just he's been getting burned a decent amount in the passing game, and that's a problem.
Would you say, as far as the defense in the secondary, losing damn.
McKinney?
The one who went to Wash. Landon Collins.
Oh, yeah. So Jabril Peppers replaces Landon Collins, and I don't think that Landon Collins, obviously Peppers is cheaper than Collins, but I mean, I think Collins was a much better player against the passing game than Jabril Peppers is.
As far as the Giants' defensive line, would you say that's probably the strong point as far as their defense?
Their defense runs through the defensive line and Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson. The issue that they're going to face, though, is two of those three guys, their contracts are up at the end of the year. Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson are guys that are going to have to get paid. So either this defense is going to have to bring in two new guys, or they're going to have to shell out some money, and they have other issues on this team.
I mean, as far as Leonard Williams, he came over from the Jets, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Last year.
Yes, they traded him for a third and a fifth, I believe. I think it was conditional. His impact last year was kind of limited, but he's kind of stepped it up this year, both in the passing game and in the run game. Something that we didn't really see on the Jets was him making a difference in the passing game. I'm not sure what his sack number is right now, but it's definitely on pace to surpass what he had with the Giants last year and with what he had with the Jets in every year outside of his rookie year. I think his rookie year he had his most sacks, and that's when he was playing with Muhammad Wilkerson and Sheldon Richardson in their primes. Now they're both obviously nowhere near their primes, but Leonard Williams was kind of the third best, and he was getting a lot of the love because he was facing a lot of one-on-ones. And then, time moves on, those guys leave, and Leonard Williams gets double teamed and doesn't make an impact.
Earlier this week, I saw something that I guess Golden Tate must have had some type of blow up. I don't know exactly what it was, but can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Golden Tate, he scores a touchdown in the Tampa Bay game, I believe, and it's to tie the game. And of course, that's not to tie the game, but the Giants had missed the 2-point conversion. But he scores and he screams into the camera, "Throw me the damn ball!" And then I believe it was his wife, goes on Twitter within the next couple of days, tweeting about how he's being misused by the Giants. Joe Judge doesn't take any of it, sends him home, and doesn't let him make the trip to Washington last week. They didn't really miss him that much.
Wow. I think it's been a run-on problem, because when he was in Detroit, both him and his wife and their big mouths got him to many instances. I think that's kind of one of the reasons why the Eagles too decided not to keep Golden Tate, because it's just if you get another chance, or at least on life, like, you think you would make the best of it. But Golden Tate's just one of those guys. He's like Ocho Cinco. Yeah, it's the same way. It's like, how many chances? And what's the name down there now with the Bucks? I mean, you're looking at how many chances can you possibly get with a team. I mean, things that you and I and Mike, that we've never had, unfortunately, the pleasure of doing. But it's one of those things, like, if your mouth gets you into trouble, just shut up. You're getting paid more than any of us ever will.
Yeah,
go out there, catch the ball, do what you're told, and that's it. But Golden Tate's like it. He's been a problem child.
And he's not good enough to be a problem child. So
no, he's not. He's definitely not.
Yeah.
My other thing is, obviously, like, so you guys kind of switching back to the offensive side of the ball. You have Jason Garrett, who was let go by Dallas, the Giants for some reason, and he wanted to go to New York, and that's fine. He went to the Giants, and he's trying to revitalize what got left behind with Dallas. I think one more year at Dallas, he may have been able to prove himself just a little bit more. I think the team just kind of gave up on him. But now he's the OC over there with the Giants. I don't see him doing anything different than what he did in Dallas, than what he's doing in New York. It just seems like it's that same kind of like flat line level where there's nothing where he's throwing that other teams will be like, oh, I wonder where he got that trick play from. So it's, to me, Jason Garrett, and along with Joe Judge, which the Belichick stable hasn't produced a lot of good head coaches. I mean, you take a look at Detroit. The only one that I will give credit to, and then obviously, what's his face there from the Texans that was let go,
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah. So the only person that I see that kind of flourishing is Brian Flores down there from Miami. But I don't think, to me, at least in my eyes, Jason Garrett and Joe Judge was not the choice. They should have been the choice for the Giants.
Yeah, so I agree with part of what you're saying. Jason Garrett, I don't like as a play caller, and honestly, the decision making that he's made, punting on opportunities that it's 4th and 1, and you're on the other side of the field. You're driving on Washington. You punt on 4th and 1. It's kind of ridiculous. You're on their 45-yard line. Go for it, right? You have Evan Ingram, who has not played great this year, has had that bad drop in the Eagles game, but he's totally misused. His route tree is he goes 5 yards down the field, and that's it. And he's an athletic tight end who should be used like a Darren Waller. And I'm not saying that he is Darren Waller, but he's fast. Like, why isn't he running routes like posts and post corners routes and whatnot? And when they do use him like that, it works. But Garrett doesn't use it. He uses him like he's Jason Witten, which is a problem. Right. They're just nowhere near physically the same. It kind of boggles my mind. As for Joe Judge, I think Joe Judge, I'm a little iffy on, but the way the defense has played this year is encouraging to me because of how hard they play. Because the talent, like I said, the talent isn't really all too impressive, especially in that secondary, but they play tough. And the fact that Joe Judge can take basically a lame duck in what the defense looked like last year, where they were getting killed every week, and kind of flipped it around. I give him a lot of credit, him and Patrick Graham a lot of credit. Where it goes from here, I'm not sure. I'm going to give Joe Judge the benefit of the doubt, though, that he's getting his guys to play tough. The Jason Garrett hire makes no sense, though, in my opinion. I think he's gone after the year. After that, I think that I don't know who Joe Judge brings in, but it's got to be the right pick, or his time in New York is not going to be long-lasting.
Right.
Pat, would you say the hiring of Joe Judge, if there's any bright spots compared to the Pat Sherman era?
So Joe Judge, he has experience. People call him the wide receivers coach for New England, and he was, but he was the special teams coordinator for a couple of years there, and that doesn't get talked about enough. The fact that he has made this team play tough and buy into what he's saying, as opposed to what was kind of put out there by the media in the preseason, where they were basically saying that what he's doing there is kind of ridiculous, making coaches run in training camp, something that's, I don't know if Belichick did that to that extent, but Belichick has a tendency of making his players run kind of like a high school practice, right? It's not something we see everywhere. It's something Mangini used to do with the Jets. If players are buying in, I don't really have a problem with him. People weren't really buying in with Sherman. There were some players that were not happy with what he was doing offensively. And that's really what it comes down to, is are players buying into what the coach is preaching? It's kind of why Belichick's disciples have failed, is because people don't believe what they're preaching. And Belichick kind of got guys to buy in early during his time there with the Patriots back in the early 2000s. They bought into what he was trying to put together, and that's kind of where it gets rolling. And once you have success with players buying in, you have success on the field, more guys are going to buy into what you're saying, and I think that's what it comes down to.
Chad, I personally, I would just say for my own self, when the Giants played New England earlier during the season, of course, Super Bowl run season, it was a loss. Mm-hmm. Then the Giants made it count when it was the best time to do it, which was in the Super Bowl. And for me, it's one of those things like Don Shula, his record should never be broken, at least not by the Patriots. I guess, other teams, you can do it. If it's the Giants, then truthfully, I would be okay with it because they've been around for so long. But the one thing that made me really happy that year was, the Giants stepped up and obviously won the Super Bowl and put that one loss in the Patriots, heart forever. So yeah. I'm not by any means a New England fan, but I have family that's up there in New England. I can't stand it because everyone up there is they're spoiled. It's how many rings do you guys have? Well, we know what we'll take. Truthfully, if you look at it, we've had 3, Mike, before the NFL Super Bowl. We
48, 49, 60, and 17.
So if you look at it, truthfully, it's 4, just like Green Bay would have many more prior to it being called the Super Bowl. But to me, it's one of those things that you can't cheat anymore. And I guess Belichick is finding that out this year, and it makes me happy to see how bad they're doing. And Cam Newton being the weekend or the weekend's younger brother, the weekday, whatever hell he wants to call himself. But to me, it's one of those things that if Carolina didn't believe in him, I don't know what Belichick thought and he saw within Cam Newton, but that's falling it's falling apart quick at the seams. And Belichick, of course, he's trying to say, well, that's not true. That's my guy. I think 2 more games, Cam Newton's not going to be their guy. So
yeah,
that's just my little rant when it comes to as far as
they're moving on from him after this year. There was, I find it hard to believe that they're signing him to a 1-year deal and weren't considering him as a rental. I think that his time is done in New England after this year.
I agree.
His body's falling apart. I mean,
yeah.
There's a reason why the Jets almost beat them on Monday Night Football. It's because he can't throw the ball down the field. The ball comes out so weak from his arm that it sucks to see, because Cam Newton at one point was an MVP in our league. Right. And he's not that old, but he's just so beat up, and it sucks to see, because you never root against the player, but I think his time in New England's up after this year.
I agree. I mean, got it, Angel.
No, go ahead, Mike.
No, you're saying I thought he used to have a cannon for an arm, but he's not even. The ball's just not even a beautiful ball he throws anymore. Yeah. When he had Steve Smith, as a rookie, I mean, he was lighting it up, and it was just like one of the top QBs in the league.
Yeah,
I mean, you got Carolina the Super Bowl; they were unstoppable, and just the injuries crept up on them, and that was it.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of going back, I guess you explain a little more why I think Joe Judge wasn't the right hire when it comes to the Giants, because you look at DCU, or at least that's what I like to call them, that Washington football team with a nameless logo and all that good fun stuff. But so the Giants had the opportunity of getting Ron Rivera.
Yes.
And then it was like, nope, pass. So and he's trying. I'll give him that much. I mean, the Redskins, DCU, they've been beating themselves this year. No different than the Giants. But I think they would have had much more success a lot faster with Rivera versus with Joe Judge. So I don't understand how in the world you have a great head coach like Rivera, and you basically tell him, no thanks, we don't need you. This is the guy that we believe is going to take us to the future. And maybe Joe Judge will. I don't know. I know this year has been completely crazy. Me personally, I think I would have taken Rivera over Joe Judge.
No, I totally agree with that. Rivera is one of those guys that can get guys to buy in. Joe Judge is an unproven head coach in this league. And I would guess, and I'm not sure if this is true, and I don't want to put out misinformation, but the fact that there's a link between Rivera and Gettleman was with the Panthers beforehand. So did it end poorly? And because Rivera kept his job in Carolina and Gettleman didn't. So did it end poorly there? I'm not sure. I don't know if that was one of the reasons why they don't look at Rivera as hardly as they did with a Joe Judge. I'm not entirely sure, but it is a very interesting point, because Ron Rivera would have been a great fit for this New York Giants team.
I think so. I definitely think so. Well, Pat, listen, we don't want to take up too much more of your time. We do appreciate you coming on with us. And anytime, you feel like coming back on, by all means, you can come back on with us. You got an open invite to the show. Again, for everyone who doesn't know about Pat, well, you're going to learn about him now, because, again, he is on Twitter, and his Twitter handle is Rebuilding New York Football Podcast. Pat Kern, great guy. I follow him here on Twitter. So just because we are, of course, Philly fans, it doesn't mean that when the rivalry comes around, which is getting just about as close as Dallas week, Giants week is starting to finally get there as far as when it comes to rivalry. But if you guys want to follow Pat, again, Rebuilding New York Football Podcast. And earlier you had mentioned, too, before I end up signing off here, that you also talk about the New York Jets. And we see, obviously, that's not boding too well either with, crazy-eyed Adam Gase. I don't know what New York saw in him, but they decided to hire him. So how much longer do you think that he will finally get the heave-ho out of New York?
They're keeping him to tank, and that's coming from reports from Pat McAfee, who has connections to the guys in the front office that this is kind of the goal, is that they want to tank for the first round, for the first overall pick. And I don't really blame them, considering if you start winning a game or two, you don't have a generational talent and Trevor Lawrence being handed to you. The Jaguars are probably not going to win a game the rest of the year.
No.
It was just Joe Douglas's plan all along. I'm not sure. I think if I had to guess, it was kind of like one of those things where it was like, I know we're going to suck, but it's not going to be that bad. We're going to go 4-12. And then all of a sudden you start seeing like a bad football product going out on the field. And he's like, okay, Sam Darnold's not the guy. It's time to strip it down for good and go for Trevor Lawrence. That's what I firmly believe. He's going to be around until week 17, though, 100%. They're not going to move on from him until after the year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this year. As much as I think we got like 47 days to count down to 2021, so maybe a lot of things will happen better for 21.
I hope so.
Couple of coaches, couple of players need to be saying goodbye, just like Howie from the Eagles. He needs to be told, see you later. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. But things have got to change, got to happen for the better.
Absolutely.
Mike, anything else?
Pat, I was going to ask if you had a prediction for the game today.
I don't think it's going to be close. I think the Eagles, if you look at the Eagles tape from the Giants and the Giants game from a couple of weeks ago, this is I wrote it down because I didn't remember this happening on game night. In the first half, the Eagles go touchdown, field goal, so they're up. They have 10 points on the board. Pick in the red zone where Carson Wentz looked like he was trying to throw it away, but Bradbury makes a play in the end zone. Punt, and then a missed red zone field goal. That's a potential 28 points on the Giants defense that's missed out on. Because that first field goal, I'm pretty sure that they were pretty deep into the Giants territory, and they end up not converting on a third down. So, and then the second half, it doesn't go as well for the Eagles, but they still score 2 touchdowns, and they miss a fourth down conversion in the red zone that people kind of forget about. They were able to move the ball on the Giants, and they're getting Miles Sanders back. Rieger didn't play in the first matchup.
Alshon
Jeffrey, if he contributes, I'd be interested to see that. And their offensive line, I'm pretty sure they were missing Jason Peters as well. So
Lane Johnson as well.
Yeah. So I do think that if I had to guess, maybe 28-17, something like that. I could even see the Eagles putting up even more points, especially if they're coming off a bye week, right? Yeah. So they should be able to move the ball on the Giants, and and Goddard didn't play in that game too. So they're going to be. I think that the Eagles start their run for the playoffs now, regardless of. It depends on how Wentz plays and whatnot, but I really do believe that the Eagles, if they want to make a push for the playoffs, it's got to start today on against the Giants.
Oh, I totally agree.
That it has to, especially with Carson Wentz giving up 12 interceptions. I mean, he's right behind Danny Dimes as far as when it comes to interception leaders. So yeah. I'm hoping that he will definitely improve come here in the second half. But listen, Pat, again, thanks for taking the time. Much success, of course, to your podcast. Hopefully you'll grow some more followers, just same thing. So again, anytime you feel like coming back home with us, let us know, because of course during the off season, it will still be talking football.
Awesome.
It'll lead into everything that happens, whether it's free agency, firings, you name it. We're going to cover it during the off season. So Pat, thank you very much for reaching out to us and coming on. And we really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Pat.
No problem. Everybody else, hang on as we'll be talking more Eagles talk right after this. All right, so there you have the interview with Pat Kern, a fun interview. The guy is very, very knowledgeable about just not Giants football. Obviously, a little bit of Dolphins as far as Jets talk. So very knowledgeable, great guest, and we hope to have him back on here sometime shortly. The same way with David Esser and the other guys we've had on before. But Pat, again, if you guys want to follow Pat on Twitter, it is Rebuilding New York Football, and say Rebuilding New York Football podcast. So give him a follow. And a great guy, again, very fun interview with him. He knows his stuff for sure. But we're hoping to have on here Rich Bridge here shortly. He's got a turkey food drive that he wants to promote. And, of course, this time of year, and just like 2020, the way it's been right now, everyone needs help one way or the other, whether it's emotional support, whether it's financial, whether it's food. because we can't have people just going hungry just because. We know that the government right now is thinking about doing another shutdown. We hope that it doesn't happen. But in the meantime, we still got people trying to bounce back from the original one back in March and May. So anything that anyone can do when Rich Bridge comes on here, we'll see what his cause is all about. And maybe we can donate. And the one other thing that I forgot to mention was for Mike Klein, and of course he's down there at Tampa Joe's today. He's got both those t-shirts that you see up there and the ladies pink. And also could be a ladies black, but also, it could be for anyone as far as the black shirt and even the pink shirt. So if you like to purchase one today, and let me bring up the banner here real quick so you guys can have Mike's info. What you will see is I'll have that Mike Klein. You can get a t-shirt today. You get it 1 for $25, 2 for $25, and you can call Mike at 813-344-6682. That's 813-344-6682, or reach out to him via Facebook. But great shirts. Last year he had, of course, the other brand, the other one that he no longer carries. But if you were fortunate enough to have that t-shirt, it had a white t-shirt, black lettering, and green lettering in the background. It had the actual original eagle on there. So it was a cool shirt, but nevertheless, nice shirts as well. So, well, we heard, of course, what Pat said as far as his prediction. We will have his prediction a little bit later on because I'm dying to hear what he's going to say because it's this game I'm kind of feeling the win. I don't feel it with a wide margin, but I do feel the win. So we're dying to hear what Mike Sherman has to say. And I don't know if you want to hit around to it or not, Mike. It's up to you, but I know you like to take it towards the end.
We still have close to 80 minutes left in the show. So what I'd like to do first is give all the viewers out there, and thank you so much for viewing the show. Please like and share the page. Angel and Mike do a terrific job. All right. And thank you to all the sponsors of the show and Tampa Joe's and Maggie's on the Waterfront for allowing them to broadcast from there. We have some time, so I want to start out. I'm going to give you guys and the viewers not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 reasons why the Philadelphia Eagles should win this game today against the New York Football Giants. And these are facts. You can look it up. You can fact check me all you want. Number 1, the last 8 games that the Philadelphia Eagles have played against the New York Giants, Eagles record 8-0. 8-0. These are non-debatable facts. The Eagles have beaten the Giants the last 8 times. They're 8-0. Very hard to argue with that. Second thing I'm going to mention, the Eagles don't have to deal with Saquon Barkley. Now, it's debatable whether you want to talk about Saquon Barkley being the best running back in the league or not. You can go Alvin Kamara, you can go Christian McCaffrey, but the Eagles don't have to deal with Saquon Barkley. And for those of you who are local, a Penn State running back who came out and looks to have an exciting career in the NFL if he can come back from his injury. The third thing I'm going to mention, the Eagles are healthy, right? Alshon Jeffrey is back. Lane Johnson is back. Dallas Goedert in the mix, right? And then when it all starts on the offensive line, if Jason Peters, Jason Kelsey, and Lane Johnson can all be healthy to give Carson Wentz the time and protection that he needs, that's the reason the Eagles should win this game. I got 2 more. The Philadelphia Eagles are in first place. You want to call it the NFC East with the Dallas Cowboys and the DCU team, call it what you want. The Eagles are 3-4-1, and they are in first place. If the season was to end today, not only would the Eagles win the division, but they would have a home game in the playoffs, which would be unbelievable. And the 5th reason that I'm going to give you, I have the notes in the paper. There's one more I'm going to give you. The Philadelphia Eagles are coming off a bye. And the research that I did is that teams in the NFL this year, with no fans in the stands, 7,500 fans in the stands, COVID, whatever you want to talk about, teams coming off of a bye this year are 10-8. Are 10-8, a little bit over 500, but still over 500. So I'm going to tease the audience right now. Those are 5 reasons why the Philadelphia Eagles should win this game today, with the key word being should.
See, that's what I'm saying. At this point, well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Mike just wrapped it up, so we appreciate it. But no, it's he is right. But he definitely is right. I see here waiting in the green room in the background, Richard Bridge, and I'm gonna bring him up here shortly because he does have an important message for everyone, and he wants to make sure that everyone hears and possibly donates to the cause. So let me bring up Rich right now, and we welcome Rich to the show. Rich, how are you?
Hello. Hey, how you doing, everybody?
Good, you?
He is right.
Can you hear us, Rich?
In the background, Richard Bridge. I'm gonna bring him up here shortly because he does an important message for everyone and make sure that everyone hears and possibly donates to the cause we bring up. And
How you doing, everybody? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. We're basically here to donate. We're doing a turkey drive. We're doing it for some Eagles groups and Eagle Strong and owner Kathleen Pebbles.
Hello.
This was her original idea. We're also doing it for Eagles Mania and Eagles Extreme. And we're trying to get turkey dinners out to families in need in the Philadelphia, South Jersey area. And we're looking for possible donations. We're also looking for anybody who can drive or help put the meals together. So far, we have about 4 or 5 families, and we're looking for a lot more. So that's basically what we're trying to do here to help people out and help people in the Eagles community. That's
families.
And that's basically the purpose of it.
Okay, so if people want to donate, where exactly can they go? Is there a certain website or a location where they can drop off the food?
Yeah. The background music. Wait a minute, I can't hear it. Oh, shit. I can't hear nothing. We're having a bad connection here, buddy.
Sure, no problem. I can hear you.
Sound. Damn it.
You have to be back on your phone, babe.
Yeah. Yeah, we're having a problem with the sound, everybody. Sorry.
I'm gonna bring him up here because he does an important message for everyone and make sure that everyone hears and possibly donates to the cause we bring up.
No, we got it now.
Okay.
Sure, no problem.
We can hear you now.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Good.
Can they hear you?
I don't know.
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
You're
You're
having a
probably
problem
just
with
getting
the
the
sound.
audio feedback is probably what you're getting because you get it on speaker. Unfortunately, it'll repeat what we were just saying.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, basically, I can hear. You guys can hear me. I can't hear you. So
Yeah.
basically, we're just doing a turkey drive.
You could hear them for a second.
Oh no, this is messed up.
Can you help them?
This is messed up.
You were just listening to them. Just a second ago.
Yeah. But he's telling me.
Yeah. No, we can hear you.
Did they disconnect?
You're good.
No.
We can hear you.
You were just listening to them.
Mm-mm. I gotta go because problem was Mike was telling me turn the sound off in the background. Hopefully they heard me. They heard me.
Great.
Wait a
That's
minute.
fucked up.
Oh man.
That had to be something with Dura N.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Mike.
All right, we'll come back to Rich. I think he had the audio issue was where he had speakers on, and if you get the speakers, it's delayed. It's just like if you call into a radio station and you're trying to listen to on the radio. The reason why they tell you to turn the volume down is for that same reason. If you got the volume up, you're going to catch the delayed part of the program. So Richard was telling us as far as the food drive. I'll send him a message here shortly to let him know to see exactly where the people can send their food. So that way, at least everyone can be in tune to what he said. So hopefully we'll get back to Rich here shortly, and if he can fix his audio quality, then we'll be able to keep things moving right along here. So, of course, still a lot to get to. The other thing, as we put Rich here on standby, this week we know that obviously it was Veterans Day, and we thank the men and women who serve our community, our country. Without them, we can't have podcasts, we can't have the things that we have. So we truly do appreciate everything that they do. And I'm trying to look for something here as we're talking at the moment. And I don't see what I'm unfortunately looking for. So I'll have to come back to that one. I'll have to bring him back up here shortly. But we do thank the men and women who protect their community and country. And, of course, one thing I will say with everything that's going on in this world today, and I don't try to make things as far as Mike, do me a favor, turn Mike back on. As far as the things that go on in this world, we know that 2020 has been really screwed up. But if it isn't for the men and women like myself, like my uncle, my cousins, family, friends, people that we don't know, you can't have the liberty that you have because of them. We see what's going on around the world, and if Antifa thinks they're doing something wise, maybe they need to go overseas to a third world country and see what life is truly all about, that you have the opportunity of doing things that you do here because of men and women like me, like others, that allow you to go out there and act like a fool. So you want to continue acting like a fool, do me a favor, pack your bags, head over to another country, because in this country, we're trying to unite each other, we're trying to help each other out, and that's what we're here about. It's the United States of America, not the United Desegregation States of America. So you want to desegregate yourself from everything that's going on? Beat it, because I don't care for it. But everybody else, we appreciate the service that you have done to our country, and let's hope that the men and women continue to provide that service to everyone. So that's my little soapbox for the moment.
Thank you for all the veterans that have served in present and past. I have family that are no longer here, and past and present. Thank you for your service. It's much appreciated. It's why we are the greatest country in the world.
Correct.
Thank you, and I salute you.
No problem. Thank you. And thank you to everybody. I got a clip here I'm going to show, of course, to the Eagles. We like to unite with them when it comes to salute to service, and they did have a salute to service week, and they had a really nice video put together. So here's that video from the Eagles.
As part of Salute to Service Week, our friends at Toyota helped organize a virtual visit to the VA Medical Center where Lane Johnson, Brett Toth, Will Parks, and Boston Scott were on hand to extend their gratitude and appreciation to our veterans.
This virtual visit really connects them to the outside and lets them know that people are still thinking about them, even though we can't be in person, and it touches them. It lifts their spirits.
For Eagles tackle Brett Toth, his worlds collided. Before joining the National Football League, he graduated from West Point in 2018 and is a lieutenant in the Army.
We recognize how trivial the game we're a part of looks in the broader scheme of things, but it is kind of giving them something to look forward to. If every Sunday they can root on their team and again have this kind of like pride, kind of getting their mind off of things that might be hurting them as well, and just giving some positivity and bringing people up with us.
Having a Purple Heart, that's huge, you know what I mean? That just shows your sacrifice, not just for your own family, but, for the whole world and the whole U.S. So I know I appreciate it.
You are definitely an inspiration. You are definitely an inspiration. You continue to fight, and we're gonna continue to fight for you.
You always got family members around here. Everyone's looking out for each other.
You made my day, other than the child.
You made my day. That's what I said. That's what I was trying to tell you.
This is therapeutic for these veterans. They're like any other citizen in the United States. They grew up a sports fan, and for the veterans we had today, they grew up as Eagles fans. And to see these larger-than-life individuals that they look at on the gridiron on Sunday and that are out there and that they're rooting for and everything, and all of a sudden, they're on a camera having a conversation with them like they're their next-door neighbor or someone that's in a dormitory next to them in the VA, and it is so fulfilling.
The great thing about sports, it doesn't matter what race, what religion, where you're from. The greatest thing about it is that it can uplift a lot of people and bring a lot of positivity to people's lives.
Yes, sir. Born and raised in Philadelphia.
I've been an Eagles fan back when they played in Franklin Field.
Oh, wow.
Always been an Eagles fan, no matter where I was. Chicago, Florida, Rhode Island.
Beat those Cowboys.
Y'all gonna do something to the Giants, though, right?
Oh, that's I was waiting for somebody to say we was gonna do something to the Giants.
They are professional athletes. They have a job to do, and they get out and get after it. But they never forget about taking care of their community or giving back to those that don't have as much as them. And so to see that today was just so refreshing. And it was another day for me to be proud to be an American.
Stay strong. I want to see you win this Sunday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do too.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Thank you, sir.
It's really cool to see what the Eagles did as far as the salute to service, and I believe, I could be wrong, but I do believe the Eagles are the only NFL team that I will say, and I don't think it's being biased, that they probably do the most for the veterans, for the men and women. Other than, let me retract that a little bit, because down there in Tampa Bay, for the Tampa Bay Lightning, every single game they find a vet out there just so we can applaud them and thank them, and that means, to me, it means the world. So that was pretty nice as far as what they end up doing for the men and women. This, of course, is a little throwback picture from way back in the day, 9 years of service, and I had a lot of fun. So, again, it's one of those things that for the men and women out there, we absolutely thank them over in the community I belong to. The coolest thing that I've seen was that they actually asked for the men and women who are still, whether they're alive, whether they have gone, that they're able to post their pictures up there. And unfortunately, I don't have a pointer where I can exactly point to a picture, but over towards the middle is my girlfriend's late father. So Mr. Bob Williams, we thank you as well for your service to our country. We really do appreciate it. And you are truly missed. So we do appreciate it. And another neat little thing here, before I end up talking about the salute to service, right there, they're going to be breaking ground coming, I believe, next year for the for Veterans Memorial, which is pretty cool. So the community here, I will say, and in Florida especially, you can't go anywhere in Florida, honest to God, with someone thanking you somewhere. So with all that being said, again, I don't like to curse. Mike and Mike both know this whatsoever, but I will say it one more time because it just gets me aggravated. Antifa and the rest of you clowns can go F yourselves and move out the country. And that'll be the last time I ever say that about that. So I don't know how you guys feel, but it's just me.
I totally understand and agree. I mean, you have men and women that are the real heroes every day out here putting their lives on the line in battle. No day is guaranteed to live. It goes for anybody. I just wanted to mention real quick about that turkey drive. If anybody wants to donate money or donate food to the cause, or knows of any families out there looking for turkey dinners, please inbox me, like Fuji Fioramondo. I'll get back to you. Again, everything's appreciated. I believe there's about 4 or 5 families that are already being taken care of. We're trying to get about 6 to 9. Like I said, if anybody can donate or money or food, please let me know. I'll get back to you on it. Thanks for your time, everyone tuning in. We all do appreciate it. Every little bit helps. So, the way the pandemic's going, I mean, there are families out here that don't have no jobs. Anything and every little bit can help. Thank you.
Appreciate it. There's a couple of comments I haven't forgotten about you guys, so I will retract here as far as a couple of comments. But Barbara Burke Sherman states that, sorry to girl it up, but if you've ever seen the VA hospital like me, it's awful, and seen that video, they need not to be forgotten. My father also. Barbara, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. And everyone out there, Rick Marcus also is adding on. Working at Southwest Airlines makes me proud when we send veterans to Washington, D.C. at no cost. And that is huge. That is huge. And I didn't even know that, Rick. So thank you so much. And to Rick as well, because I know when he gets the opportunity to watch the show, he likes to put in the comments as well. We do appreciate it. We're looking at first comments and everyone. That would be the case. Teams coming off the high, playing the Giants. LOL. Yeah, well, it's okay. They don't. And then Tom, of course, says that Doug is 1-3 coming off the bye week. That's okay. That's when the world turns around. I'm pretty sure it's going to turn around.
No, it sounds like it's going in and out. On my end, anyway. I don't know about you, Mike.
It's a little difficult to hear.
I don't have I don't know. Can you guys hear?
Can hear
you now.
Yeah.
No, you can?
Yes.
You sounded like you were going in and out.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I accidentally probably smacked the mic by accident, and that's why I ended up doing it. So, I guess to repeat what I said, because unfortunately I don't know when it went out. For Barbara, thank you so much for the comment that you made on here. And I'll just repeat it again. And it said, sorry to girl it up, but if you've ever seen the VA hospital like me, it's awful. Seeing that video means the world to these people. They need not to be forgotten. And she talked about her uncle, her father, and her nephew that all served. So we do appreciate that. And thank you so much for the comment. For Rick, again, he says that working at Southwest Airlines makes you proud when we send veterans to Washington, D.C. at no cost. And again, I had no idea that actually that happened. So good to know, because a lot of veterans out there could use that help for sure. So that's great to know. And Barbara now says that, yeah, now she can hear us. So we do appreciate it. And sorry about that. It might have been me just kind of hitting my hand, and may have knocked the cord off a little bit off the mic. So I appreciate it. Also, Tom said, thank you for your service. Tom says, thank you for your service. And also, what was it earlier? I saw Rick Marcus. He put down there, teams coming off a bye aren't playing the Giants, LOL. And Tom also stated that Doug is coming off a bye week, and he usually is 1-3 off the bye week. So I think it's going to be a better success this time around. And I guess, Mike, I don't know. I guess maybe the kitchen's picking up a lot of stuff on your end. I'm not too sure, but I don't know if I don't hear it as much, but maybe everybody else is hearing a lot more than what we can.
You mean on my end? You're referring to?
Yeah, I think once you start talking, it takes away from the sound from the background, but I think because they were doing so much around the kitchen, they probably end up picking up on the noise.
It's starting to get a little more crowded here. Not crowded, but starting to fill up.
That might be the reason why. So sorry, folks. We hope, to get the audio issues here, ironed out. It's just what happens when things do go live. So, well, getting back to, of course, that we know that we have the injury report. And Mike, I know that you have, as far as updates for us, but what we can see right now, according to the injury report from Friday, still got Fletcher Cox, he's out. Craig James, Nate Herbig, Jack Driscoll, Malik Jackson, Alshon Lane, Cravon, although Cravon said he's feeling better, Jason Peters, and Miles Sanders. They're all out, and we're waiting to see if they're going to come back. But do you have anything else you can add to that list?
I'm waiting for the updated list. I know Alshon Jeffries and Lane Johnson, Miles Sanders are all back today. I haven't seen anybody who's been scratched as of yet. So as soon as I get that info, I will let you know on my end.
No problem whatsoever. Well, I want to show here. One is, of course, because we can't go by a week without having some sort of hype video. And you have to be hyped for this game, because it's going to be a matter of turnovers in my eyes. Here, love to put on there. Here's the Eagles on your hype video.
Let's go. Like the games we here. Hey, look, man, it's like this. All week they've been talking about, can we get our season back, man? Tonight we got to answer that question, make sure they know loud and clear, man. Let's do that, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
to me, you got to get hyped. Every single one is trying. He has looked better. He's starting to look better. Maybe this bye was something that he needed. Go home, relax, be with the family, enjoy his daughter. But I think coming off the Giants win, we face the Giants again. The Eagles had to come back to win that game. Don't know too much as far as how you guys feel. I think I'm feeling a win. I think Carson improves in this game, and with some of the weapons coming back, we hope that they're not coming back too fast, and they're able to produce a win for Eagles this week.
I totally agree. I mean, Eagles getting everybody back healthy, so one should have more weapons, and hopefully Alshon Jeffrey can step back in and, probably take him a little while to get acclimated, but Dallas Goedert's coming off the injury. He's a little more healed, even though he played in the Dallas game. You got Jalen Reagor back. Hopefully Lane Johnson can stay out there and, hopefully playing a full game without coming out again. Jordan Mailata, if not, can probably step in the right guard position. Hopefully Jason Peters can stay healthy as well. But, I'd run Miles Sanders. I mean, even though the Giants are sixth in the league against the run, but, hey, the run establishes the pass. And, let Carson get in the rhythm. Hold back on the turnovers and the interceptions. The defense could take care of itself. Darius Slay, I think he got nicked up in the Dallas game, but he's back healthy. Cravon LeBlanc. The defense seems like they're pretty much, back to playing good football. Malik Jackson's back from his injury. BG's playing lights out this year. Josh Sweat. Defensive line should be able to get to Danny Dimes today and knock him around.
Well, speaking of Danny Dimes, and I'll get Mike Sherman's comments here in a second. There was an interesting thing that I thought I'll share with everybody that there might be a little bit of a hazard on the field, and I'm going to show you guys right now.
Down by 7. Final play for Detroit.
Only thing that would make this any better is overtime.
They'll need a miracle to win this football game. One man to beat. We're headed to overtime.
Buffalo Wild Wings, you have to be here.
I thought it was kind of interesting when they put up that video. So thank you to Buffalo Wild Wings. I thought it was quite funny that they shoot up the sprinkler to trip up Danny Dimes here. But yeah, he played a good game the last time, of course, that the Eagles faced each other with the Giants. I'm assuming that he's probably going to do the same thing again. We talked about it with Pat, that obviously he's not the quarterback that the Giants need. For us and the NFC East, the way it's going this year, yeah, we can use them because the ACC Giants are just as bad as the DCU freaking clowns that we have there in the division. So we'll see how that will play out. But Sherman, your thoughts as far as what do you think is going to happen in this game?
Yeah, I'm going to respectfully disagree a little bit here. Right. So even though the Eagles have a top 10 defense in the league this year, if they can create turnovers, then they should be able to extend that 8-0 winning streak against the Giants over the last 4 seasons. But with that being said, if you look at the Giants' last 5 games, right, they have lost or won those games by a margin of a maximum of 3 points, right? You go back to the Dallas game where Dak hurt his ankle, where they lost 37-34, all the way up to last week where they easily could have rolled over, and they went into D.C. to play DCU, and they beat DCU 23-20. Here's a team that was 1-7 going into last week, who easily could have said, we're going to go into tank mode to just lose this season. And Daniel Jones finds a way to go into D.C., beat the Redskins. Now, granted, he's 4-0 career against the Redskins and like dreadful against everybody else. The Giants, they find a way to keep it close. Think back to that Monday night game where 6 rings and Tom Brady came into New York, and the Giants were a 2-point conversion away from sending that game into overtime. And I think that that's definitely something to consider here. Another thing that I'm going to point out to you, from Mike and all the fans, the Philadelphia Eagles haven't played on the road since October the 11th. October the 11th. Now, granted, there's not going to be any fans in MetLife Stadium today, and if there are, there's going to be a minimal amount. But as much as I would love to say that the Eagles are going to win this game, there are definitely some things going against the Eagles here. And the other stat that I'll put before I give an official prediction a little bit later in the show, for the year 2020, NFL teams going into the bye, which the Giants have next week, teams going into the bye this year are 16-10. They're 16-10 going into the bye. So just in case I make a prediction that the Giants win, doesn't mean that the Giants are a better team than the Eagles, but you have to look at the schedule. It's a really important thing. So that's my commentary for now. I know we still have 50 minutes left in the show, and I will be making my official Drew prediction a little bit later in the show.
And that we do appreciate for sure. And, the Eagles, of course, and the Giants, they put up their hype videos and everything else, and we show that the Eagles love to on their website, PhiladelphiaEagles.com. They like to put together when the players are getting ready to board the bus and getting ready either to leave Lincoln Financial Field or when they arrive at their destinations. And I did find one with Danny Dimes when he was leaving his house, or actually coming back to his house, because apparently he must have forgotten something. So this was an interesting one from Danny Dimes. In there. I find it's not just the Giants, even though we are hitting him hard just as much as we do with Dallas, and we'll be talking about them later on. But it's just the NFC East this year. It's been horrible. It's been completely terrible. So even though I may make fun and pun at other teams, believe me, we're as equally as bad. At least the Eagles, because I don't work for the organization, but as a fan, we're equally as bad. So it's, I may have fun, go back and forth. So hopefully no one gets butthurt. I don't know. Some people are extra sensitive, but it's just the way the division's been this year. I don't think any of us would have seen this coming. The same way, like, who would have thought the Steelers are 8-0? No one saw that coming either. So it's just interesting the way it's played out. Fortunate for us, our ends were able to get back. Some people, if Jason Peters, for example, doesn't come back, no love lost there, because no offense, he shouldn't come back in the first place. But he got the money, he got what he wanted, and now he's on the injury reserve list. And it's a good possibility he doesn't come back. And that's fine, because I'm fine with Jordan at that spot.
Well, as far as the NFC least, I don't think any team in this division should make the playoffs. I'm sure if you put these teams up against the top four college teams, I'm sure they may get beat. That's worth saying, because these four teams are disgraceful. I mean, the talent is just a mess. I mean, it's no excuse for professionals to get paid all this money and to keep playing like this. There's a lot of parity in the NFL, but come on.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a flat-out joke. I mean, I'm not going to hold back. I mean, diehard Eagles fan to the fullest, but I'm a realist. And no team in this division, Eagles, Cowboys, Redskins, or Giants. Not to say the Washington team. Christ, they've been the Washington team since 1933, so forgive me. but no team should be in the playoffs.
The Eagles could lose this game, move to 3-5-1, and still be in first place.
Correct.
That's pretty scary.
It is. It really is. We also
it's a flat-out joke.
No, I agree. But we also been talking about, of course, the Eagles injury update. There's, of course, a clip we're going to show here, and Will Parks, there's another one as well. And he's talking about a tattoo. If you guys haven't seen it, but Eagles talk about their injury updates, and they're for the most part saying they're feeling really well coming off the bye.
Like I said, I feel good. I've been doing a great job with my conditioning, rehabbing at the same time, and I feel like I haven't missed a step or a beat or anything like that. Practice been going well the whole week. Just trying to finish up today strong and tomorrow strong.
Oh man, it was tremendous. Did a lot of treatment, full, healthy, ready to go.
the week before the last game, just another guy fell on my leg again. So just something hard to control. Had it drained again. Other than that, though, it's really improved a lot this week. So the most I practiced in a while. So it's been good.
I think we just gotta be a team on the rise. Just getting better every week, working our technique, and some of the plays we didn't make in the first half, we gotta make in the second half, and just like I said, we just gotta keep getting better. You never really as good as you think you can be. We know we got a long way to go and a lot of improvement to do.
I lay out my pads as if I'm getting ready to play. Like I lay out my pads as soon as I come to the locker room. The first thing I do is grab my pads, put my jersey on my shoulder pads, and lay my pads out on the floor. So whoever walk past, they gotta walk over my stuff. I'm blessed, to be here in my hometown. Like I said, this isn't anything of normality. So I got to take advantage of it as best way as I can. And a lot of people don't know, man. I got a eagle right here on my arm, on the tattoo on my arm. So a lot of people didn't know that, and I had that before, even my first year in the league. So I just always wanted to kiss that eagle because that's my favorite sky animal, and I just feel like he'll give me some blessings.
Tarzan! Hey! What are you doing? Hey, the big boys need water. Big boys need water. Big boys, big boys, big boys. Come on! Come on!
Interesting with Will Parks, who would have thought that years ago before he even started in the NFL, decided to put on an eagle tattoo on his arm. And, it was his favorite, sky creature for the most part, or sky animal. And he's able to be homegrown, to be with the Eagles. And I mean, on the injury front, it seems like we're finally starting to get, again, guys back as long as they don't get hurt from coming in too early. But, and I like what Will Parks has to say, and there's another clip as well with Jalen Reagor, and he talks about as far as Alshon Jeffrey, only because obviously he's coming back this week as well, as Mike just pointed out, and he does. Mike has an updated injury report, but Alshon, I know he knows that his time is up here in Philly. We understand that, we get it. The bond has been too well the last 2 seasons with him in the organization, but at least it's nice to know that he is trying to help out Jalen Reagor and the younger core wide receivers, because I think. If you look at it 2-3 years from now, I believe the new wide receivers that we have are going to be excellent for this team going on from here, at least the next 3 or 4 years, whenever the rookie contracts come up. Add 1 or 2 seasonal veterans that won't cost and or break the bank, and we should be just fine.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, hopefully, the upside with Jalen Reagor, as he can stay healthy, and Hightower's a burner. As long as he can catch a damn ball. And other guy, Quez Watkins, they drafted, but I don't want to get into the Howie issue with the wide receivers. But, I'll leave that story for another day. But I did want to get into the injury report. Who was scratched is J.J. Arcega with Alshon Jeffrey coming back, running back Jason Huntley, with Miles Sanders back in the lineup. Cornerback Craig James is out with a shoulder injury. Nate Sudfeld is scratched as Jalen Hurts is the backup. Brett Toth with Lane Johnson and Quez Watkins out to follow up the injury report for today. So we got Lane Johnson back in the lineup. We got Alshon, Jalen Reagor, Miles Sanders. Hopefully Jason Peters can decide not to come out when he wants to and go back in. If not, I don't know why he just didn't keep Jordan Malott in there. Guy played phenomenal against the Ravens and Steelers, 2 of the better defenses, if not the top 2 best defenses in football. And that's my commentary for the moment.
No problem. The one thing, of course, with the Juru himself being on with us today, when we have the pleasure to have him on, because he brings that every single week, and we listen to a lot of predictions that he has in the comments, and we really do appreciate it. And speaking of comments, one just popped up, but the one thing that I will say about the Juru is that when Wentz, he says something, and it's like scary predictions because he's almost like Nostradamus. Last week or the 2 weeks before, of course, before the bye week, he stated that Jalen Hurts was going to get his first touchdown. And if you looked, and was it in the third quarter, Mike? Do you remember when it almost happened?
I don't remember if it was in the first half or the second half because the Eagles were pretty dreadful in the first half of the game, and they weren't too much better in the second half of the game. But here they were. The Eagles were in the red zone. They lined up at the 5-yard lines. Jalen Hurts came in instead of Wentz, which was surprising enough to me. And I was like, oh, my goodness, here we go. Jalen Hurts, number 2. He's going to throw that first touchdown of his career. And they had to delay a game. And that was it. They took him out of the game, and he never came back in, which is really surprising to me. This is a year where, they should try to experiment with him a little bit, especially with all of the trouble that Carson Wentz has had. Carson Wentz has regressed in so many ways. I think back to the Giants game when they played 3 weeks ago, where Carson Wentz was running towards the one sideline and he threw across his body, which is something that you never do in the NFL. Fortunately, the pass wasn't intercepted. But just the fact that somebody like Carson Wentz was getting paid all this money, he just can't be making throws like that. You have to learn to just chuck it out of bounds or take the sack or do whatever he has to do.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see what's going to happen in this game. To what Mike said about the injuries, I would love it for just once at this point if Lane Johnson can stay healthy for a game. If I have to see the cameras seeing Lane Johnson either go into the locker room or limping off to the sideline one more time, I'm just going to go crazy. Look, I get it. It's the NFL. People get injured. There's a lot of banging and bruising on the offensive line. But compared to the other years that he's been in the league, I never remember Lane Johnson going to the sideline or the locker room so many times. If he's not healthy, don't put him out there.
Well,
if he is healthy, put him out there.
Right. I mentioned this going back a few games, Angel and Mike. I think these injuries are catching up to Lane Johnson coming off the PEDs. I mean, he's already been suspended 2 or 3 times, and after a while, he's pushing 30, and those injuries creep up on him. I mean, being juiced up, at a younger age, I mean, it's like your body starts breaking down. I mean, I had that conversation with Rod Motti a couple weeks ago in 97.5, but he disagreed. But, I mean, just like as you get older, I mean, you're on that stuff and get dependent on it. Your body does start breaking down.
Let me ask you guys a question.
What?
At this point, the midway point of the year, Eagles were 3-4-1. I saw this on social media the other day, and I was intrigued by the question. And I'll be very curious for your answer. Who's the Eagles' MVP right now? 8 games into the season.
Defense and offense, or just
give me one player. Who's your MVP of the season so far for the Philadelphia Eagles?
I'm kind of dumbfounded with that answer because it's like who's really been consistent.
I think
I would say Darius Slay because every wide receiver Darius Slay is going up to he's shut down, and I don't know. Hey, I'll even say this one better: Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham's like 3rd in the league in sacks. He's playing with a high motor. I mean, he's playing with a Pro Bowl caliber, high level. High motor that he plays with. I mean, figuring that Dallas game, if he didn't cause that strip fumble, they would have lost that game. I mean, he's playing lights out, and no offense, Darius Slay's playing great, but I'd have to give my MVP overall to BG, hands down.
Right. Well, I go on the defensive side. I will agree. I will say Darius Slay because he has been at times a little bit of lights out, not completely. But at least he came from Detroit over to Philadelphia, and he's been making things happen. It's slowly but surely, and I think he's kind of spreading it around the defensive squad that we have right now. But on the defensive side, I will. And then Tom here, which I was going to say, but I noticed when he popped in with the comment was Fulgham. There's, on the offense. If Rager wasn't hurt, I may give the nod more to Jalen Rager because at least he is trying. Boston Scott, the same thing. If some of these injuries didn't creep up, I would be there, but Fulgham has, if anybody's been lights out, it's been Fulgham, and also it hasn't made his head blow up. Like he's been able to be was humble, put it that way. He's humbled for having the experience of being in the NFL, being a part of the Eagles organization, and he's been doing outstanding since he's been here. So again, I'll put up the argument. I know some people love that other guy in Dallas, CD, but me personally, with the 3 that we have, it's going to be nothing but an upside. It's me. But yeah, Mike, for me, it's Fulgham Slay.
I would also give honorable mention to this offensive line. I mean, Eagles have had like 7 or 8 different offensive lines out there this year. Like, guys like Jack Driscoll and Nate Herbig have stepped in nice. And, that's just, these are guys that are rookies that have, now's this time to play them because in a pandemic year with no OTAs, no training camp, no preseason games. I mean, these guys are stepping in and filling big shoes.
Right. My MVP is Jason Kelce. I'm right there with you, Mike. On the offensive line, it's been a mismatch all year with all these injuries going on, and the fact that Jason Kelce has been able to deal with 2 people to his left and 2 people to his right all season and be that solidifying force right in the center. I'm going to tell you that he's my MVP so far for the season. There's still 8 games to go, and we'll see what happens today and moving forward. Maybe Slay or Brandon Graham or Travis Fulgham will step up in even larger role to solidify themselves as the MVP.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Jason Kelce's the anchor of this offensive line. Multiple-time Pro Bowler, playing healthy. I think back it was the Dallas game or the game before that. He looked like he got nicked up, but he stayed in. Kelce's been a warrior. That's why he's the player and the character the man brings to this team and to the table. I take my hat off to him. I mean, a couple weeks ago, there was an article that came out and said he's like the Tom Brady of centers, which totally agree.
Well, someone may end up disagreeing with us here, and it's Barbara, and she says that Wentz needs to go. And so that's the one comment. Of course, I had Tom on there for a little bit where he says, I'm happy if Whiteside never suits up again. So interesting on both. I think Whiteside may be done at the end of this year. As far as Wentz, and I have said, Barbara, to agree with you, in the beginning of the season, because just the way things were playing out with Carson Wentz, I did say that he had to go. I think it was a week before or the week of the Giants game. And good Lord, Brett Favre had an interview on the NFL Network, and they asked Brett Favre what he thought about Carson Wentz. And Brett Favre himself, and it's his own opinion, just like everyone else's, he said that he would prefer if the Eagles would have kept Nick Foles and got rid of Carson Wentz, which I thought was interesting, which a lot of people have said, the same exact thing. So I thought Brett, I mean, obviously the man is legendary in his own rights. So, but again, we've seen the ups and downs when it comes to Carson. There was another article, I think Mike sent it to me earlier this week, of the reasons why he wasn't so successful earlier, because he didn't want to listen to anybody, and it does happen. It truly does happen. But I mean, we're going to hopefully see the second half of the season, the upside, not just with Carson, but this whole entire team, if they want to win a division, because apparently 5 games can win a division this year. Yeah, Barbara here, she says yes, as far as when it comes to the comments.
Are you playing that interview? I thought you said you were. My fault.
No, I had it queued up for last week, and unfortunately this week I had to go back and try to retrieve it, but I couldn't get it. But
go ahead,
Mike.
I mean, you know what? This is always going to be a question for years to come, pride of the end of eternity, whenever the hell that comes. But grand scheme of things, people are always going to compare. I think Wentz, it's on his mind. It's in his head. Nick Foles will always be remembered as the guy that brought the ultimate piece to Philadelphia that we always dreamed of, and we're willing to die for. At least I was. But the comparison with Foles, the comparison with Wentz. I mean, Wentz was. I'll say it. I love Nick Foles as much as I love Carson Wentz, because, Carson Wentz, without the year he had up until that Rams game, tearing his ACL, this team, they were blowing out teams by halftime. I mean, they were putting up blowing teams out by 30 points. I mean, the man was the MVP of the league, not the guy that's down in Tampa now.
Right.
I mean, it fires me up. I love Wentz. I mean, I love Foles. I loved Nick Foles when they had him. Chip was an idiot for trading him. But, I guess, the stars were aligned, as they say. But, Nick Foles won't even ever have to buy a drink in this town ever again. But
sure doesn't have to.
Without Wentz getting the Eagles to 13-2 or 12-2, whatever it was. I mean, without Carson doing what he did, I mean, he had the weapons. I mean, Christ, all these guys. No, it's weird. You look at it. Well, Wentz is healthy and everybody's hurt now. And Wentz, he had Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, Brent Selleck. He had Zach Ertz. He had a run. The Eagles had a hell of a running game with Garrett Blunt. Why can't Jay Ajayi? I mean, they had a nice three-headed monster, Corey Clement. I mean, imagine if Wentz did have that offense again. What would it be like being healthy? So, I mean, the offensive line was intact. I mean, so many things went right with the 2017 Super Bowl team. They were lights out. And if you look what he did the last 4 games. Yeah, all right, granted, he played basically every team in the division, but
right,
it was thrown to nobody. I mean, guys off the street. I mean, Howie's like mixing it in with practice squad guys and this and that, and it was just, Wentz put the team on his back. He does too much. He puts too much pressure on his shoulders. I mean, he needs to come out today and just blow it out and just play 60 minutes of smart and solid football. He's got the weapons back. Let the line give him time to get rid of the ball, run the ball, take pressure off. Let him come in and play his game that he's capable of playing at a high level.
Right.
And I think the Eagles come out today with this offense, with these guys back, and drop the goddamn hand. Excuse my language.
And look, we said 3 weeks ago, at least I said 3 weeks ago when the Eagles were playing the Giants in Philadelphia on Thursday night, I told you guys, relax. The Eagles are going to blow this Giants team out. To which Angel said, maybe I need to get tested for COVID. Which was hysterical. And what did Carson Wentz do in that game?
Came back.
He came back in the end in the fourth quarter, but up until then, after that first drive where they drove right down the field, I was like, okay, the Guru's prediction is spot on. And then after that, he just was very mediocre at best until the fourth quarter. We need to see the Carson Wentz of 2017, and I don't know what has happened to his mental psyche since then, but he needs to get it back.
No.
When they played Dallas a couple weeks ago with a 15th string quarterback, they couldn't even do it. So I don't know what's going on with Wentz. It's my hope that going away from home will be the elixir that they need to win the game. But I'll be honest, I'm not convinced that Carson Wentz is going to do it today. Even with all these weapons, I think they're going to come out a little bit flat off of the bye. I think it's going to take them a little while for Jeffrey and Sanders and that offensive line to gel a little bit. And the New York Football Giants, they find a way to keep games close. And if Doug Peterson doesn't make the right calls today, they're going to find themselves at 3-5-1, even though they'll still be first in the division.
Oh, they got to come out of the gate and drop the hammer on this team. They'll come out starting slow and throwing the ball, a la Donovan McNabb in the air, in the dirt, wherever. You got to come out and just, come out to new. You're off the bye. Everybody's well rested. You get everybody back in the lineup. And guys coming off the injury reserve, whatever the hell it is. And, just run the division like you own it. I mean, just take control of your own destiny. They got some – after the Browns, they got Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans, the Cardinals. I forgot there's one other team in there. I did say Seattle.
No.
But there's one other team in there, and it's like, they got some tough games coming up. And this team, they get everybody back healthy. It's going to have to – these are going to be some big tests if they want to win the division. The back end of the schedule is not easy. You got Dallas after these 5 teams, and you close the division out with Washington, which which they should have destroyed, but, you know.
No, correct. Rick says, of course, Tom earlier said no turnovers, no fumbles, and that would be the key, of course, to this game. We've seen it just about every game so far this season, so we hope that won't be the case. Rick states that he has a feeling if Wentz does well today, it won't be the same attitude come next week. And you might, or Mike, as you just said, are playing Dallas, so you know it's going to be a tough ride for sure. Well, we'll see how it ends up playing out. As far as going around the NFL, we have, what is it? You got Baltimore versus New England. And it's going to be the battle of the two. And there was a picture taken late last night with Belichick. And apparently he decides he wants to dream about TB12 having the success that he has down there in Tampa. And we see that the weekend's brother, the weekday, is laying right next to him. And it's amazing to me that Cam Newton was let go by Carolina. And for some reason, Belichick thought, you know what? I can get this guy. I can fix him. There's been words this week, of course, not with those two together, but Cam Newton almost feeling that, you know, it's time for him to hang up the shoes and, you know, lace them up. And I mean, he's got a great career in fashion clothing because Lord knows Jeff Garcia pointed him out just like everyone else did when it came to his fashion statements, because it seems like after a game, he's more worried about instead of the win-loss about how he looks on TV. So I don't know. Again, he can be nicknamed the weekday. Start up his own little fashion crew and see where it goes. But Cam Newton, nevertheless, talked about what, you know, Carolina needs, or sorry, not Carolina, what New England needs to do. And so here's what he thinks has got to happen.
You know, I wouldn't necessarily say a huge opportunity, more or less just to say it's the next opportunity. You know, we can't get caught up in, game meanings. At this particular point of the juncture, every single game is the most important game. We understand that. And as offense, we've been coming together here lately, and we just got to keep building, and we can't just shoot the Sunday night to start that. It starts tomorrow's practice. We had a great day of practice today, just trying to master the execution, and that's what it's going to come down to.
To me, it's no different than you're going against Patrick Mahomes, you're going against the Tom Brady's, you're going against one of the best quarterbacks in our league, a guy who's an MVP in this league. So when you go against an offense that has a guy like that, there's definitely a level of competition that needs to rise, because this guy gets it done in whatever facet that you need him to get it done. He's proved that since he's came into this league at a young age. So these are the games that you have to get fired up for, because if you don't, they'll come out there and they'll embarrass you. And that's the type of talent not only he has, but they have as an offense in total.
If we play the game the right way, we're going to give ourselves a chance to be competitive with anyone in this league. And it's just a matter of us putting that together. So I think we're hungry to prove that we can put together a complete game and play the game the right way. And obviously, you go into a game like this, a situation like this, against a tremendous football team that's well coached with a lot of great players. You have a little bit of extra juice.
It's easy because we want to be a physical football team too. Regardless of who we're playing and how hard they play and how physical they are, that's our style of play. We want to go out there and be a tough, physical, smart football team. So, we almost look at it, whoever we play, we want to try to make them match our intensity, match our toughness, match our physicality. So we know that it's a tough team. We know all those things, but at the same time, we feel like we are too. So we're not going to be just sitting here, worried about the fact that they're a tough team, because we think that we are too. So it's just up to us to go out there and play that way and, just be a tough, smart, physical football team that plays for 60 minutes.
So pretty interesting to see, obviously, with the and Michael will come back on shortly. You probably have a little technical issue, so he'll be back with us here shortly. But interesting to see that obviously the Patriots, they are now starting to feel the way they felt years ago prior to winning all these Super Bowl championships. And for the most part, I think when it comes to the Patriots, of course, to me it's one of those things that they found ways to cheat and win. I don't care who says what in New England. They found ways to cheat, and now Belichick's got to figure out, because they're no longer allowed to videotape other practices because of the fallout from last year. So New England is trying to find a way to put all together. And again, the weekday is not doing anything better. They just had a thing on their website saying he's the first quarterback ever to run for 5,000 yards and throw for 3,000 yards. You know, that kind of combo. But Cam needs to get it together. Belichick needs to get it together. Are they going to win the division this year? No. And they know it, no matter what, because the Bills are the strongest looking team out of that entire division. And the Bills are heading all in the right direction. They also play a little bit later on this afternoon. So I don't know if you guys have any input as far as when it comes to the Patriots, but no offense, I'm glad that Belichick is finally starting to taste his own medicine.
Well, whether they make the playoffs this year or not make the playoffs this year, I'm going to put it out there right now. New England Patriots today win the football game on the field against the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to beat the Ravens.
So,
and I'll give you a little bit of reasoning behind it. The Ravens next week are playing Tennessee. Now, we all remember what happened when Derrick Henry run went crazy last year in the playoffs against Baltimore. But Baltimore, their focus right now is on Tennessee. They just won on the road against Indianapolis last week. They're on the road for a second week in a row against New England. I think it's part of the reason why New England came up flat against the Jets this Monday night on Monday Night Football, because New England was looking ahead to the Ravens for this week. And let's face it, this is a fact. This happens in the NFL. And this is just one of these spots. Do I think the Patriots are better than Lamar Jackson than the Ravens this year? Absolutely, positively not. But this is a spot where New England finds a way and they win the game on the field. And next week, let's talk about that Ravens-Titans game, because that's going to be a doozy, and I can't wait to see how that comes up. It might be part of the reason why the Titans got smashed by the Colts this week on Thursday Night Football, because they might be looking ahead to the Ravens next week, because they want to prove that they're just as good as the Ravens. Look for New England to win that game tonight.
Duly noted.
Tennessee almost, went into
Kansas City.
I was going to say Tennessee was going to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, I thought they were going to be a powerhouse. I'm not saying they're not a powerhouse this year, but, they are definitely one of the elite teams in the AFC. But, I thought last year they were going to go into Kansas City and knock out Andy and Patty Mahomes. Just my prediction, like going with that underdog.
Well, if they keep showing up flat the way they did in the second half against Indianapolis on Thursday night, they will not be an elite team in the AFC anymore. I mean, going into it, we could say yes, but
as far as New England, Baltimore today, I'm going to have to go with Baltimore. I mean, just the defense and that New England offense is in shambles. I mean, no Julian Edelman, no Rex. The hell is his name? I was ready to say Rex Grossman.
He can fill in.
No Sonny Michael.
Exactly.
I mean, listen, they got a defense. Got Angel.
No, you can't. I mean, you got to take a look. So it kind of raises a question. And then who needs to win more, Lamar Jackson or Cam Newton?
Oh, I think Buffalo's taking that division as of right now. I mean, no, I think since Tom Brady went to Tampa, I mean, not taking nothing away from Belichick, but it looks like it's pretty much exposed. I mean, not to take nothing away from the weekday, but Cam Newton, I think Cam Newton's done. I mean, the injuries, it's a shame because it took Carolina to the Super Bowl back in 2015. MVP, Heisman Trophy winner, the guy used to have a cannon for an arm, but I just don't know what happened to him. I don't know if it's because he just has gotten beat up over the years. And, to me, I just don't think his heart's in football anymore. Looks like he's just on a different planet. I don't know. It's just like the last couple of years, Carolina, he just don't seem to be the quarterback he once was.
Right.
I'm definitely going with Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, hands down.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson definitely needs to win more than Cam Newton. Cam Newton has been to the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson hasn't. All of the eyes were on Lamar Jackson last year, and he was not able to come up big when he needed to come up big. I think he needs to prove to the league that, he is the dynamic quarterback that all the media and everybody says he's supposed to be. Will he get there with Pittsburgh and Kansas City and potentially Buffalo in a way? We'll see. Before today, I'm telling you, I think Cam Newton's going to rise up to the occasion in this game, keep it close, and I think New England ultimately beats Baltimore because I think Baltimore's looking ahead to Tennessee next week. And next week we can talk about it. I know I won't be a guest, but I'll be chiming in all the comments. We'll see what happens.
Sure, no problem. Listen, it's true. I think I agree with you 100% there, Mike. I think they are looking forward. So it could be a great possibility that New England wants it more this week. Speaking of New England, we'll go a little bit south because you have, of course, TB12. So we're not going to go as far south in Florida. So we'll go a little bit north. And with north, we're being with Green Bay versus Jacksonville. Now, to me personally, and I've said this over and over again, the Jaguars need to go over to the other side of the pond because they may get new fans over there on the pond versus the retirement fans that they have up there in Duval County. Because if you want to go to retire and be basically a name, not even a great player, if you just want to be a name, go to Jacksonville because they got plenty of walkers and canes and everything else for you down there in the retirement village that's called Duval County. That's just the way it works. But the whole thing was that they let go of Nick Foles because Minshew Mania was the big thing. Oh, my God, everybody. And all because of the ridiculous stash. Well, now Minshew's out, and they got their other third stringer in there to start. So all this hype about Minshew's going to be great and blah, 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 and Jacksonville believed in it. And, I mean, it's just become a complete bust for the Jaguars. So on that one, I'm going to say because Devontae has had Devontae Adams has been big this year. To me, Green Bay wins that one, of course, hands down easily.
No, I mean, it's this morning I was watching NFL Network. I mean, the forecast out there is rain, so I mean, it's, they're probably not used to playing in those cold conditions and Green Bay this time of year. But I mean, Green Bay, I still think Green Bay is a little suspect, but I think they come out and just dominate the whole Jaguars game. That's not even a contest.
Yeah, I agree. Green Bay, their last game at home, they lost to the Minnesota Vikings. They're not going to allow themselves to win a second game in a row at home to a deadly team like the Jacksonville Jaguars. Green Bay's a little bit more rested. They played San Francisco on Thursday night, so they have a little bit of extra time, and I think that they'll be good to go in this matchup. I think Green Bay look for a win of like 42-10, something like that. I think if they bury them, I'm right there with you.
Back to what you were saying, Angel. I mean, the way Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are dominating this season. Now, Rodgers is playing with a MVP caliber candidate.
They have been. We're going to move on. We got about 12 minutes before, of course, the game goes live here. We appreciate everyone again for tuning in. We appreciate the love and the likes, obviously, that I'm seeing up here on the screen. Thank you so much for everyone tuning in. Also, we got the Seahawks and the Rams. So it's going to be Jalen Ramsey versus DK Metcalf. And, of course, we know both teams are trying to win that western side of the house. Who wins that game?
I want to go with the Seahawks. I mean, as bad as their defense is, I just really don't know what to make of the Rams. I mean, Aaron Donald's, definitely probably the top defensive player in the game today. But Russell Wilson, another guy that's playing lights out, MVP caliber, along with DK Metcalf. I mean, DK Metcalf's a beast. I mean, he's just dominating every D-back he goes against, but Jalen Ramsey, that should be a nice matchup. I mean, you're talking about one of the better corners in the league, maybe if not the best corner. But I'm going to go with Seattle. Then again, come to think of it, Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde are out for the Seahawks running game, so I'm still going to lean towards the MVP of the league from last year, Russell Wilson.
I'm going to lean towards the Rams. So Seattle really had a huge game against Buffalo last week, traveling 3,000 miles across the country or however far it is. And they came up flat. They had a way to win that game, and they didn't. And now they got to go all the way back 3,000 miles out to Los Angeles to play a division foe. Those division foes, no matter what directions they are, they're always going to be tight in those games. I think that the Rams are going to win this game. Doesn't mean that I think that the Rams are better than the Seahawks this year. But in this spot, I think that the Rams win the game.
Interesting. Well, Rick here, he's informing us. He says, be careful of taking Tampa today. Plane was delayed almost 7 hours out of Tampa due to mechanical issues on the aircraft and needed replacement plane. They arrived in Carolina at 11:15 last night. Hey, and that could be an issue, but because it's such a short ride, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. Me just saying that personally, but Rick, I thank you for updating us on that one. But I still think, to me, Tampa is going to take the win. I'm sorry that the quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, which Carolina, just like New England, thought they had their premier quarterback. Both of them are being a bust. So I don't see where Tampa Bay loses this one against Carolina. The next matchup, of course, you got the Bengals and the Steelers. And the Bengals were looking, pretty daggone good. They really haven't slipped up as much. I mean, they don't have the wins, for the most. They got 2-5, if I remember correctly. But they've been hanging in there. Steelers almost beat last week. Could Cincinnati be the one that beats them this week?
I'm going to go with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh too. Pittsburgh is on a mission this year, and I don't look for a team like the Cincinnati Bengals to break it up just yet. Pittsburgh is playing really well right now. Joe Burrow is doing some nice things with the Bengals, and in years to come, I think that they'll be a team that contends for wild card positioning. But this week, I don't like the spot. I think Pittsburgh wins the game with relative ease. It'll probably be close for the first quarter until Pittsburgh puts their foot on the gas and starts to pull away from the Cincinnati team.
I believe Ben Roethlisberger tested positive, but I know he's a go today. But 3 other guys did test positive with the virus. But Pittsburgh, all right, they had a scare last week when they losing to Dallas. But I still, like you said, Mike, I think they just come out and drop the hammer on Cincinnati and welcome Joe Burrow to the NFL, one of the better defenses, and if not the best defense in football right now. Pittsburgh's 8-0, ride high, and I don't know where the game is. I don't think it really. I mean, it could be over in the pond for a week here. I just think the Steelers just drop the hammer and go undefeated. Keep rolling along through their schedule.
Well, the next one coming up, of course, you got DCU versus Detroit. So it's the best of the worst game of the week, which it should be something else. And so we already know how those two clowns will end up turning out. But we did though acquire secret footage. If anyone's interested, I'm about to show it here of how well DCU has been doing as far as protecting the ball. Yeah, that's the DCU team, just as bad as the ACC Giants. So, and they're both equally as terrible. So I just thought it was interesting that came out of I believe NFL.network.com, and it's just I think it was funny how that is playing out. But DCU, of course, we've seen that so far. The head coaches that have come out of Belichick's stable haven't done much. I think Brian Flores, as we talked about yesterday with Pat, that Brian Flores is probably the one that will probably have the most success in the NFL. But if I had to pick the worst of the two, unfortunately, I might go with that DCU team.
I agree. Alex Smith, take my hat off to him. Talk about a guy that I don't know why he stayed in the game. I mean, coming off that terrible leg break. I mean, the poor guy needed at least 12 operations, but kudos to him for being brave and stepping in. And I'll say this, I think the Washington team's defense is pretty lights out. I mean, your front four are all number 1 picks. And, I'll give it to Ron Rivera. Plus, I think Matt Patricia's job's on the line, and he'll probably be going after this year another revolving door of coaches, as far as franchises and stuff like that. I'm going to go with the Washington football team.
I would lean towards Detroit. I think it's just going to be a sloppy game. Not to say that Detroit or Washington are going anywhere this year, but maybe on the AstroTurf in Ford Field, to wherever they're playing that game. I'm going to give the nod to Detroit here. Not a whole lot of confidence. For those of you who are interested in things other than entertainment of the games, this is definitely not a game that I would be looking at for Detroit and Washington.
No.
I want to mention two quick ones here because we got about 3 minutes left before, of course, the game is about to kick off here, about 3 or 4 minutes. So the next one being the Bears and the Vikings. Of course, Matt Nagy is turning over all control over to Bill Lazor as far as all the play calls. So that should be interesting. We know that the Bears are coming off a 3-game losing streak. They still are for most purposes. So the game is over today. But I think Nick Foles has a big game today.
Tomorrow night, you mean?
Or tomorrow night, correct. Monday Night Football.
I'm going to go Minnesota because another potential MVP right now has got to be Dalvin Cook. And he's just killing it. The guy's healthy. He's probably the best running back in the game right now besides Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I would look for a low-scoring game here. I would put a small emphasis on Minnesota, I guess, to win this game, but not with a whole lot of confidence. And I would lean towards Minnesota.
I would say the matchup pretty much is the Minnesota offense right now against the Bears defense.
Okay.
And,
well, of course, Dallas they got their bye week this week, which means that we can't talk about Dallas because they are what they are, as some people would love to say. But there's breaking news that they actually have their new starting quarterback come next week. But before I get to that, and it's $1 billion deal, which is amazing to me. One thing is, of course, these two are still nursing their injuries. You got both Lieutenant Dan there, or Lieutenant Dax is laying on the bed, and you have Andy bring them ice cream. Say, "Hey, Lieutenant Dax, I brought them ice cream." Said, it's just the way Dallas has been, and believe it or not, which I can't believe. And we do have a fan reaction from this one. This will be the starting QB coming off the bye week for Dallas. And I can't believe that he's actually going to start because, he runs the team, he manages the team, he does everything else. So expect Jerry Jones to be the one to be the starter next week for Dallas. And, it's incredible to even think that, but we have a fan reaction of what they thought about the new starting quarterback.
What the hell is even that?
Yeah, and that's what we all been thinking the whole entire season when it comes to Dallas and Jerry Jones and all the stuff that he does. So it's amazing to me that even during the bye week, Dallas still can't figure out who's going to be their starting quarterback.
Jerry, keep up the good work.
Exactly.
Same thing with Dan.
Real face-off.
Same thing with Daniel Snyder down in Washington. Keep up the good work. Keep making those bird brain moves. However you want to call it.
Exactly. Well, listen, we got to wrap things up here, but I'd like to thank a couple of people before I get the Juru's prediction. Of course, Tampa Joe's the official sponsor of Broad Street South Sports Talk. We do appreciate that, along with Maggie's for allowing Mike. And by the way, if you guys want to go down there, Mike will be there, and we will be back live at the half. So Maggie's Waterfront Cafe, 9242 North Delaware Avenue. If you guys want to visit our website, it is maggieswaterfront.com. Try and get that in there real quick. Also, I'd like to thank For the Bay Clothing Company, which they are a partner with us as well. ForTheBayClothingCompany.com. Take a look at the website. Great T-shirts, great material, very nice design. So by all means, please go down there. The Juru, we thank you so much, and along with obviously Pat for coming on with us yesterday with the interview. But here it is. We're coming up on the game time, and we have a couple more comments flying in here. What is your prediction for today?
My prediction for the game today, it's going to be a very close game. And even though the Eagles have won 8 straight against the Giants, I think that the magic potion is about to run out. Final score, New York Giants 20, Philadelphia Eagles 17.
Wow. Good Lord. See, I'm thinking the whole entire show you're going to be up on the other side, but he speaks, and everyone's got to listen because that's just the way it is. And a couple other comments here before we close out is great show today. Thank you, Tom, and everyone once again for viewing the show. We really do appreciate everybody coming on. And also to Barbara, who says, good job today, guys. And we appreciate Barbara's comment as well. And curiously here, is that the Mrs. Sherman?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes,
well,
it is the Mr. Sherman. Yeah.
All right. Well, we thank you for the love and the support, Barbara. And, of course, for Mike for coming on. And Mike, of course, you also have an open invite. You can always come back on with us, and we appreciate you taking the time. I know we have a busy schedule, so we do appreciate you guys coming on. For everyone else, tune in. Of course, the Eagles are coming right after this. We will be back for the halftime show. So be back with us at halftime. Of course, my co-host, Mike Fuji, I thank you very much, of course, being out there at Maggie's and coming on and bringing on the energy. And for everyone else, thank you so much. And from what I understand, did you have a harmonica playing, possibly going out, exiting from the show?
Sure, you wanted a little bit of Sanford and Son, so I don't know how old all the viewers are right now, but I'm going to give you a little Sanford and Son.
That is
so much
amazing.
for having me on the show. Go Eagles today, although I'm feeling a 20-17 Giants victory, and I'll be watching you guys at halftime.
Thank you so much. And with that, listen, Go Bears, thank you guys for the comments. Again, if you guys want to reach out to us, it's Broad Street South Sports Talk at gmail.com, Broad ST South Sports Talk at gmail.com. Thank you guys very much. And with that Sanford and Son exit, we will see you guys at the half.